The man stood frozen, staring at a sight beyond belief. A leopard, its golden spotted fur glinting in the faint light, lay calmly beside a cow inside his very own cowshed. There was no growling, no chaos, only an eerie stillness between the predator and its prey. Moonlight slipped through the cracks, illuminating the leopard's piercing golden eyes, while the cow stood there, peacefully chewing grass as if nothing were out of the ordinary. The scene was so strange that the man couldn't help but wonder if the darkness was deceiving him. This was a small village in Gujarat, India, surrounded by vibrant green rice fields and shaded by towering ancient trees. Life here moved at a gentle pace, tied closely to the land and the livestock. The man, a middle-aged farmer with rough, calloused hands, owned that cowshed. He cherished his work, tending to each cow like a member of his family. But tonight, something felt off. The fierce barking of dogs pierced the darkness, yanking him from sleep. Clutching a flashlight and a wooden stick, he crept toward the shed, his heart thumping in his chest. What had drawn the leopard here? Why wasn't it attacking the cow? Could there be some hidden connection between these two creatures? And how would this night unfold? Before we dive into the emotional peak of this tale, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to support the Animal Kissa channel. Every subscription is a warm embrace for the amazing animal stories still to come. Beneath the hazy moonlight, the man moved carefully along the narrow path to the cowshed. The night was hushed, filled only with the soft whisper of wind through the leaves and the faint chirping of crickets in the grass. The old flashlight in his hand flickered weakly, casting patchy shadows across the damp earth. He was no stranger to nights like this, when the dog's unusual barking pulled him from bed to check on his animals. But this time, something was different, a quiet hunch that quickened his pulse beyond its usual rhythm. As he neared the cowshed, he stopped short. There, bathed in the pale glow of moonlight filtering through thin clouds, sat a large, motionless shape. At first, he thought it might be a stray dog or some small creature from the forest. But as he squinted for a clearer look, his heart skipped a beat. This was no ordinary animal. Its shimmering coat bore distinctive golden spots. Its ears stood tall, and its long tail swayed gently. It was a full-grown leopard. Cold sweat prickled down the back of his neck. Leopards weren't strangers to this land. Tales of them, silent, swift, and merciless hunters, had echoed through the village. For generations, they often emerged under the cover of night, leaving fear and loss in their wake for those too slow to protect their herds. He tightened his grip on the wooden stick, ready to spring into action if the beast made a move. Yet, oddly, the leopard showed no hostility. It didn't growl, bare its fangs, or betray any hint of a predator on the hunt. It simply sat there, still as stone, its cold, sharp eyes glinting in the moonlight, fixed on the cowshed. It seemed to be waiting for something the man couldn't guess. That silence only deepened the unease stirring within him. He stepped back, ducking behind a broad tree to watch from a safer distance. Every instinct screamed at him to act, to shout, swing his stick, and drive this dangerous creature away before it could strike. But something in the leopard's manner held him back. It wasn't like the leopards he'd heard of, always poised to lunge at their prey with terrifying speed. This one seemed calm, almost thoughtful, choosing not to rush in. He held his breath and kept watching. The moonlight brightened just enough to reveal the animal's every move. After a few tense minutes, the leopard rose slowly. Its motions were smooth and ghostly, silent but for the faint rustle of dry leaves beneath its paws. With deliberate steps, it headed straight into the cowshed. The man's blood turned to ice. He braced himself to charge out, yelling to shield his cattle. But what he saw next rooted him to the spot, disbelief washing over him. The leopard didn't attack a single cow. Instead, it approached an old cow, one he'd raised for years. Its dark brown coat now faded, its eyes gentle with age. The leopard paused, then eased down beside her, resting its head on its front paws, looking as relaxed as if it belonged there. Stranger still, the cow wasn't afraid. She turned her head slightly, glanced at the leopard with a tranquil gaze, and went back to chewing her grass, unbothered by the deadly predator at her side. The man's mind spun. He couldn't make sense of it. A leopard, a wild, fearsome beast, lay peacefully next to a cow, its natural prey, which it should have ripped apart without a second thought. And this old cow, slow and fragile with age, acted as if she knew. The leopard, as if they'd crossed paths many times before. He stood motionless, his heart hammering, his breath coming fast. Part of him trembled with fear that this was merely a lull before chaos, that the leopard might turn savage and slaughter his herd at any moment. But another part, the curious part, pushed him to keep watching. The leopard's behavior was too odd, too far from anything he'd ever known. There was something more to this, a secret just out of reach. The leopard licked its lips, its eyes half closed, as if savoring a rare moment of peace. Now and then, its tail flicked, but there was no sign of an impending attack. The old cow, her small bell jingling softly round her neck, settled down beside the leopard. The two lay so close they nearly touched, painting a surreal picture in the night one the man knew he'd never forget. Was he dreaming? No, the chill of the night, wind on his skin, the rustling leaves, and the earthy scent of damp soil told him this was real, a reality he couldn't grasp. He lingered there in the shadows, watching in silence. A voice in his head demanded action: drive the leopard off, protect the cattle, do what any man would in his place. But he couldn't move, not from fear, but from a burning need to understand. Why was the leopard acting this way? Why wasn't the cow afraid? Why was this happening right before his eyes? Time crawled by, each second stretching into what felt like an hour. He didn't know how long he'd stand there or whether the leopard would slip away before dawn. But in that moment, he realized he was witnessing something extraordinary, something no one in the village, or perhaps the entire region, had ever seen. In the nights that followed, the leopard returned like clockwork, a quiet phantom drifting from the deep forest. Always at midnight, when the faint moonlight filtered through the leaves, it entered the cowshed and lay beside the old cow. No unnecessary noise, no hint of aggression. It simply rested there, its golden eyes glowing in the dark, as if standing guard over something. What began as mere strangeness to the man now sparked a suspicion that a deeper mystery lay behind this unusual behavior. One evening, as the fire crackled in the hearth and its light flickered across worried faces, he shared the story with his family. His wife's voice quivered as she spoke up at once. "You have to tell the authorities. That leopard's dangerous. What if it attacks someone?" But his eldest son, a young man brimming with curiosity and spirit, pushed back. "Father, it hasn't done anything. It just lies there, not harming the cow or anyone. Maybe there's a special reason for it." He didn't stop with his family. He turned to the neighbors too. Some sided with his wife, urging him to call the forestry department to trap the leopard before disaster struck. "You can't trust a wild animal," one neighbor warned, clutching his stick as if to steady himself. "It's tame today, but tomorrow who knows?" Others saw it differently. The old man next door, seasoned by years of sun and rain, stroked his silver beard and said slowly, "Don't rush. What if this leopard carries a story we haven't figured out? Keep watching." Word of the leopard swept through the village like a gust over dry grass. Each morning, folks gathered at the little market corner, buzzing with talk. Some fretted it would prey on their livestock. Others shivered at the thought of it stalking the children after dark. The weight of it all pressed harder on the man's shoulders. One afternoon, a group of villagers showed up at his door, armed with sticks, flashlights, and tense stares. "You've got to do something," one of them insisted, his voice thick with urgency. "We can't let that leopard roam free like this. It'll put the whole village in danger." The man shook his head, struggling to keep his voice steady. "I've watched it for many nights now. It doesn't attack, it just lies beside the cow." But his words fell flat, unable to pierce the thick wall of unease surrounding the villagers. Another voice cut through, sharp with doubt. "How can you predict? A wild animal, it's calm today, but what if it turns tomorrow?" The fear and suspicion in their eyes pressed against him, heavy and suffocating. He knew that if he didn't act, someone might do something rash, and the fallout could spiral beyond anyone's control. Then came a night that would change everything. The sky hung dark as ink, with only a frail sliver of moonlight seeping through the dense clouds. As he had done every night, the man crouched behind a thick bush, eyes fixed on the scene before him. He needed to understand the leopard to unravel the mystery that gnawed at him. But as he shifted to get a better view, his foot slipped. Kicking a stone, the stick in his hand clattered against it, the sound exploding through the stillness like a thunderclap. The leopard jolted, its head snapping toward him, its golden eyes blazed, locking onto his. His heart hammered, breath trapped in his chest. He braced himself, expecting the beast to charge or at least snarl in warning. But nothing came. What happened next left him rooted to the spot, utterly bewildered. The leopard didn't growl, didn't bare its fangs, didn't bolt. It simply stared, its gaze stripped of ferocity and filled instead with a profound sadness, as if it were pleading or grieving something long gone. That look stirred something deep within the man, an emotion he couldn't name. After what felt like an endless stretch of time, the leopard turned away, settling back beside the cow as if the interruption had never happened. He stood there, frozen, his mind a whirlwind of questions. Why hadn't it attacked? Why did its eyes carry such sorrow? Was it trying to tell him something? In that moment, he realized the leopard wasn't the danger the village feared. There was a story here, a secret waiting to be uncovered. From then on, everything shifted. He abandoned his urge to chase the leopard off and set out to find the truth. His thoughts turned to the village elders, keepers of ancient tales passed down through the years. Maybe they knew something about the old cow, or some forgotten event that could explain this enigma. With a spark of resolve, he stepped out from the shadows, determined to find answers. Haunted by the leopard's piercing gaze, he spent restless nights until he finally sought out the village's oldest solo living archive of the land's history. The elder sat on a weathered wooden chair outside his home, his thin hands folded, his clouded eyes sharpening as the man poured out his tale. He described how the leopard appeared each night, not to hunt, but to rest beside the old cow, tethered to it by some unseen bond. The elder listened in silence, then spoke, his voice low and resonant, like wind weaving through the trees. I remember now. It started 5 years ago, during an endless rainy season. The man leaned in, pulse quickening, as the story unfolded. It had been a wild, stormy night. The elder recalled thunder crashing, rain lashing down in sheets. A villager tending the herd stumbled across a tiny leopard cub, huddled by the roadside. Near the cowshed, it was frail, its wet fur clinging to its shivering frame, eyes squeezed shut from hunger and cold. Likely torn from its mother in the tempest, it teetered on the edge of survival. The village buzzed with debates. Some wanted it gone. Others argued to take it in, but fear of the mother leopard's return held them back. In the end, they left it there, trusting fate to decide. Then, a miracle. The old cow, the same one the man now tended, dambled out of the shed. She lowered her head, sniffed the cub, and settled beside it, letting the little creature press against her warmth. The villagers watched, awestruck, as the cub fumbled for milk, and the cow, with a mother's gentle grace, let it nurse for days through relentless rain. She stayed by its side, warming it, feeding it, until the cub's strength returned. Its eyes gleamed, its legs steadied, and soon it was bounding around the coast like a playful pup. After 2 weeks, when the cub was strong enough, it slipped away one night, vanishing into the forest's embrace. The villagers sighed in relief, thinking the chapter closed. But the elders smiled faintly and looked at the man. That leopard you see, it's the same cub from back then. It's never forgotten the cow that saved its life. The man sat speechless, a lump rising in his throat, tears pricking his eyes. So it comes back to visit her? He asked, voice trembling. The elder nodded, his expression soft. Yes, not to hunt, but to show its gratitude. Head bowed, tears streaked down the man's face. He thought of the nights he'd lurked with a stick, nearly driving off a creature bound by such deep feeling. Standing, he gazed toward the coast, imagining the grown leopard beside the old cow, a child returning to its mother. A mix of regret and awe swelled within him. From that day, he was a different man. Fear gave way to reverence for the extraordinary tie between the leopard and the cow. He gathered his family, shared the elder's tale, and instructed them firmly, don't disturb the leopard. It's not a threat, it's a friend. House by house, he spread the story, easing the village's worries about the shadow in the night. At first, skepticism lingered. Some clung to their wariness, insisting a wild beast couldn't be trusted. But as the tale of the cub and the cow took root, their defenses softened. Fear melted into curiosity, then wonder. Some dubbed the leopard the loyal friend, its visits, a testament to gratitude that bridged the divide between species. Night after night, the leopard returned, steady as a ritual. The man stopped hiding or flashing his light. Instead, he stood at a distance, savoring the sight of the leopard approaching gently, lying beside the cow, sometimes nudging her as if to say hello. On quiet nights, he'd smile, feeling he was witnessing something sacred in the ordinary. One evening, as he watched, the leopard turned to him. Its eyes, once distant and mournful, now glowed with calm. It seemed to sense his change of heart, and in that shared glance, he saw peace. He nodded faintly and whispered, "I get it now. Keep visiting your friend." The cowshed became a hallowed spot in the village. Whispers of dread faded, replaced by tales told to children of a grateful leopard, a lesson in kindness and connection. Though from different worlds, the leopard and the cow stood as emblems of a marvel that taught everyone to treasure life's simple, profound bonds. One night, under a tender moonlit glow, the man lingered by the wooden fence, eyes on the familiar cowshed. What unfolded was pure magic. The leopard, its coat shimmering silver, approached the old cow. It dipped its head, its pink tongue brushing her forehead, a quiet comfort, like greeting a long-lost friend. The cow, eyes deep and kind, dipped her head in return, the bell on her neck chiming softly in the stillness. It was a scene as beautiful as a painting, a silent ode to affection that defied the boundaries of species. The man's heart skipped, overwhelmed by the depth of their bond, not just gratitude for a life saved long ago, but a true, lasting friendship. All his doubts about letting the leopard near the cow evaporated like mist in sunlight, replaced by warmth. He knew he couldn't sever them. His duty was to honor and shield this rare connection. The next morning, he swung the cowshed door wide open, leaving it unlatched so the leopard and cow could meet freely. From then on, each night, the leopard arrived, a familiar shadow gliding through the dark. The cow waited, her eyes brightening at her old friend's footsteps. The man stepped back, smiling as they rested together. The tensions within him, his family, and the village gossip dissolved, giving way to peace and pride in the wondrous tale he'd helped preserve. Time flowed gently until a fierce storm struck. Thunder roared, winds howled, and rain pounded as if to swallow the village whole. The man sat in his small home, the drumming rain unsettling his nerves. The leopard, ever faithful, didn't appear, its absence gnawed at him. Used to its nightly pilgrimage, he couldn't rest without it. He told himself the storm had delayed it, but unease kept sleep at bay. At last, unable to wait, he pulled on a raincoat, grabbed his flashlight, and ventured out. The wind stung his face, rain blurring his sight, but he trudged into the forest where the leopard often emerged. His beam flickered, then caught a dark shape slumped beneath an ancient tree. His chest tightened. It was the leopard, but its grace was gone. It lay still, fur-soaked, wounds bleeding across its body. He knelt beside it, the leopard's eyes fluttered open, faint but knowing him. He guessed it had fought another beast defending its ground or hunting, and now it couldn't rise. Without a second thought, he shed his raincoat, draping it over the leopard, and raced back to fetch the cow. Through the downpour, he led her to the tree. Though old, she was sturdy and trusted the leopard. He hoisted the injured creature onto her back. The cow stood firm, as if sensing her purpose, and carried it slowly to the shed. The leopard clung to life, its breath shallow. In the shed, he laid the leopard beside the cow, wiping its wounds with dry straw and binding them carefully. The cow pressed close, warming it as she had years before. The man stayed through the night, tending it under a flickering lamp, silently willing it to pull through. Day by day, the leopard mended. It ate, its wounds healed, its vigor returned. The cow never left its side, a steadfast companion. The man, too, grew closer, tied to them by the bond they shared. One night, when the rain ceased and the moon blazed anew, the leopard rose, stretching its gleaming frame. It nuzzled the cow's neck in quiet thanks, then turned to the man, its eyes speaking volumes. Tears welled as he smiled, understanding that gratitude wasn't just the leopard's return, it was the circle of care, linking them all in a story of kindness. Bathed in moonlight, the leopard settled beside the cow, serene, as if the storm had never been. The man watched, his heart brimming. This tale, he knew, was no longer just the leopard's gratitude, it was a testament to human compassion, animal loyalty, and the enduring ripple of goodness through their little village. Thank you for watching until the end. If you believe this story deserves to be shared, please hit subscribe, like, and share to support Animal Kissa. See you again in the next heartwarming journey.